Good evening. My name is Ben Gavelic, and I work for the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, also known as the IURC. The IURC is hosting tonight's field hearing. If you aren't familiar, we are a state government agency responsible for the regulation of public utilities in the state of Indiana. The agency includes 5 appointed commissioners who each have equal vote on all formal cases before the commission. The IURC hears evidence in cases filed before it and makes decisions based on the evidence presented in those cases. The IURC is required by state statute to make decisions in the public interest to ensure that utilities provide safe and reliable service at just and reasonable rates. Field hearings such as this one provide you with an opportunity to formally offer comments to the Commission on cases under consideration. Before the Commission reaches a decision in this case, it reviews evidence presented by all parties, including the comments shared today. We are joined tonight by Chairman Houston and Commissioners Bennett and Freeman, Presiding Administrative Law Judge Lloyd, and court reporters Linda and Amy, who record your comments to be included in the official record of the case. Because this is a pending proceeding before the IURC, the Commissioners and the Administrative Law Judge are not allowed to answer questions or engage in any discussion about the case. They are here to listen to you. Of course, if you have questions about tonight's hearing, feel free to find me in the back of the room. If you are planning to speak tonight, you will see 2 mics at the podium. The one at the podium and the court reporter's mic. It's important that you speak loudly and clearly so that both mics pick you up.
Speak up, we can't hear.
You can't hear me?
Yeah,
Is that better?
we can't hear.
How's that?
That's much better.
Okay. So as I mentioned, there are 2 microphones at the podium. Both are important, but the court reporter's mic is the most important because it's the one we'll be using to transcribe your comments. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor, which is the state agency responsible for representing consumer interests and matters before the Commission. Anthony Swinger from the OUCC will now offer a few comments prior to handing the mic off to Judge Lloyd to begin the hearing. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Again, I'm Anthony Swinger from the OUCC, and there are 4 things in particular we would like you to know going into tonight's hearing. Number 1 is the purpose. This hearing has one purpose only, and that is to give you the chance to speak directly to the Commission. You will not see a presentation from NIPSCO tonight because they've already presented their case to the Commission in writing. They did that back in September. But the sole purpose this evening is to give you the chance to speak directly to the decision makers and share any information you think will be helpful to them as they weigh the evidence and make a decision in the case. So public input, again, that's the purpose for this evening. The second thing is that this is one of many steps in the rate case process. The OUCC and other parties will be filing testimony later this month. There will be a number of additional steps after tonight, and we're probably looking at a final order in the middle of 2025. So no final decisions get made tonight. Third, we have a team of engineers, accountants, attorneys, and economists at the OUCC who are reviewing all of the evidence NIPSCO has filed. Based on that review, we will be filing testimony and recommendations on December 19th. There are a number of additional parties that have intervened in the case, the Citizens Action Coalition, the United Steelworkers, and several additional parties. They're all listed in the fact sheet that we've handed out, and any testimony they file is also going to be due on December 19th. You should have received a form along with the fact sheet that we've been handing out. If you would like to speak this evening, we ask you to fill out the top half of the form, give it to one of us over at the table here, and we'll get you called up. And we'll do our best to keep the forms in the order that we received them as they were turned in. Here's the final thing I want to let you know. If you do not want to speak tonight but would rather put your comments in writing, or you know someone who couldn't be here tonight and want to give them the chance to comment, we are inviting written comments through the end of the day on December 12th. Any comments we get by then, we will include with our filing to the Commission. They will carry the same weight as comments received here tonight, and there'll also be evidence in the case. And all the information you need for mailing or sending comments to us online, all of that is in the fact sheet. So again, we really appreciate you being here tonight. Look forward to hearing what you have to say, and we hope you take advantage of this opportunity that you have to speak directly to the commissioners. With that, I'm going to get out of the way and turn things over to Judge Greg Lloyd. He will begin the hearing. Thanks again for being here.
Sit right here, Adam.
No, those are for people.
Good evening. In addition to the commissioners and court reporters introduced by Ben Gavlik, I'll also note that Carol Sparks-Drake with the Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor is present. To her left is Jennifer Washburn of the Citizens Action Coalition of Indiana, Inc., and also Brian Likens, representing Northern Indiana Public Service Company, LLC. As was mentioned earlier, but just to emphasize, the purpose of tonight's hearing is to provide the general public an opportunity to testify concerning the relief requested in this cause. Testimony, once again, can be provided orally or in writing, and regardless how those comments are provided, they will all become part of the record of this cause and will all be considered by the commission. This is a formal hearing, and all testimony will be provided under oath. As a formal proceeding, which like you will see in the courtroom, outbursts simply aren't appropriate. In order for the testimony to be properly taken by the court reporter, it is important that each witness speaking to the microphone slowly and clearly and have the opportunity to testify without interruption. I would note, just to accommodate the public library's closing time, we have a firm stop time this evening of 7:45. And so to ensure that all members of the public can present their views, oral testimony should only address the specific issues raised in this proceeding. That is, issues related to NIPSCO's request for authorization to increase its electric utility service rates and charges. This will provide the field hearing, this will allow the field hearing to progress in an efficient manner. That should allow all participants an opportunity to testify before the commission. Individuals testifying are encouraged to avoid offering repetitive or lengthy comments to avoid the necessity of the presiding officers setting specific time limits on individual testimony. Again, the commission will consider all public comments, whether they are made orally or in writing. However, state law prevents us from answering any questions as part of this proceeding this evening. And if you're going to testify orally, Ms. Sparks-Drake will let you know when to approach the microphone. At this time, if you have not already done so, please turn off or silence your cell phones and other electronic devices. I'd like to give a special thanks to the Gary Public Library for hosting us tonight. And are you ready? All right. And we'll now go on the record. This is a field hearing before the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, and a cause document before the commission, cause number 46120, captioned as Petition of Northern Indiana Public Service Company, LLC, pursuant to Indiana Code Sections 8-1-2-42.7, 8-1-2-61, and 8-1-2.5-6, for 1, authority to modify its retail rates and charges for electric utility service through a phase-in of rates. 2, approval of new schedules of rates and charges, general rules and regulations and riders, both existing and new. 3, approval of revised common electric depreciation rates applicable to its electric planted service. 4, approval of necessary and appropriate accounting relief, including but not limited to authority to capitalize as rate base all expenditures for improvements to petitioners in information technology systems through the design, development, and implementation of a work and asset management WAM program to the extent necessary. And 5, approval of alternative regulatory plans for the partial waiver of 170 IAC 4-1-16F and proposed remote disconnection and reconnection program process, and to the extent necessary implementation of a low-income program. Notice of the time and place of the hearing was given as provided by law by publication in Marion County through the Indianapolis Star on November 21st, 2024, and in Lake County through the Northwest Indiana Times on November 22nd, 2024, and the Post Tribune on November 20th, 2024. These are newspapers of general circulation, and the publications were made at least 10 days prior to the date of this field hearing. The proofs of publication of notices have been received by the Commission and are now incorporated into the record as caused by reference and placed in official files of the Commission. Notices have also been given to the Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor and other interested parties. And we have appearances, please.
Carol Sparks Drake, Chief Deputy Consumer Counselor, Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please accept the appearance of Jennifer Washburn on behalf of Citizens Action Coalition of Indiana, or CAC.
Thank you, Your Honor. Please accept the appearance of Brian Likens on behalf of Petitioner, Northern Indiana Public Service Company, LLC.
Okay, thank you, counsel. At this time, I will swear in the members of the public who plan to give testimony tonight. If you plan to testify at this field hearing, please stand if you're able and raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you will give in this cause will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated. Ms. Sparks-Drake, when you're ready, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. What we're going to do here is to facilitate and hopefully keep the hearing moving. I will call 3 names. We have 3 chairs on the front row. Hopefully the briefcase and coat will disappear.
Got it.
And when I call your name, if you're one of those 3, come on down. The first name should please go ahead and go to the podium. And then as the speaker finishes, I will call the next name who can come on down, and we'll just keep the flow moving so that hopefully we can get to everyone who's here. If I recognize your name and you have previously testified, I will not call you till folks who have not yet had an opportunity to testify have that opportunity. If I don't recognize your name, but I do when you come to the podium, then I will ask you to go back to your seat and call up the next person who has not yet had a chance to talk with the commission. So the first 3 names, Carolyn McCready, Susan Thomas, and Maddie Perry Lightfoot. If you could please state your name and spell it for the court reporter.
Yes. Good evening, everyone, and to everyone here. I'm so glad to see everyone. My name. Oh, yes. Is this mic on?
That's the court reporters. The other one that should have been.
Is this on?
No, it's not. I can't hear anything.
Hang on a second. She'll get it next.
Okay.
It's the one that you're closest to is the sound. And you can move it toward the mic. There you go.
Sorry.
Not working.
Timed out on us. Sorry about that.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we just wanted to be
Okay. Good evening again, everyone. My name is Carolyn McCready, Carolyn McCrady. And I've been a resident of Gary since 1974. I've been active in consumer advocacy since the 1980s, and I have yet to see such an outrageous electric rate hike proposal proffered by NIPSCO as the one that brings all of us here tonight. First of all, NIPSCO electric customers are already paying the highest electric rates in the state of Indiana. But the stockholders just cannot get enough money to make them happy, apparently. Second, we have learned that in 2024, NIPSCO sold a significant part of the company to a hedge fund for an astronomical $2 billion. What will this sale mean for us? Good for the company's bottom line, I suppose, but probably not for the customers who faithfully pay their bills every month, even though here in Gary, that is becoming more and more difficult due to ever-rising costs. As you consider this outrageous rate hike, please keep in mind the communities that will be most affected by your decision. Gary, Indiana has the highest unemployment rate in the state. the highest poverty rate, and the lowest median household income. Only half of what the average Indiana household brings in. This request is crazy because NIPSCO already has the highest profit margin of all electric utilities in the state. But now they want more. A 79% increase in our fixed rate charges, going from $14 a month to a possible $25 increase every month. I ask you, how will so many Gary residents be able to pay these exorbitant costs? And then again, why should we? I heard a disabled elderly woman on WLTH say that she feels particularly disrespected because NIPSCO has apparently shut down local payment centers, making it impossible to make payments in person. So much for customer service. This rate hike is the most blatant example of corporate greed we have seen in a long time. They meaning NIPSCO, needs to be taken over and publicly run. Until that time, the IURC needs to reject their request and allow all those who live in NIPSCO land a reprieve. After all, we do pay your salaries. Thank you.
Paul, K-A-C-Z-O-C-H-A. If you would state your name and spell it, please.
I'm Susan Thomas, S-U-S-A-N-T-H-O-M-A-S. I'm Susan Thomas, Director of Legislation and Policy for Just Transition Northwest Indiana. My NIPSCO bill, if this hike goes through, will be close to $400 monthly for a tiny house. I will have to make some real budgeting decisions for this hike, but none so heart-wrenching as what was expressed from the IURC's field hearing on November 26th, where accounts from senior citizens and school administrators conveyed the impacts these outrageous rate hikes have on our most vulnerable, our senior citizens, our less fortunate, our children. This is a predatory rate hike request from corporate predators. 11% of NIPSCO's parent company, NiSource, was purchased last year by BlackRock, globally known for their human rights and environmental abuses. Last week, BlackRock was sued by a group of states for allegedly breaking antitrust laws by boosting electricity prices through their investments. If the IURC grants this rate increase, as they have always done, we will be witnessing yet again what happens when the hearts of industry and a government agency are replaced and run amok with greedy dollar signs. One of the issues JTNWI works on is toxic coal ash. I remind you that the entire town of Pines was poisoned by NIPSCO's coal ash. 38 homes whose wells NIPSCO poisoned remain with no municipal water hookup that NIPSCO could pay for. NIPSCO was allowed to hire their own consultant to do the original testing, and needless to say, the results were deeply inaccurate and skewed. I spent yesterday with some of those residents, now on their third decade. Can you imagine? Their third decade of trying for a cleanup. As I stand here, high waves and winds are hammering Lake Michigan and the NIPSCO Michigan City Generating Station, where millions more tons of toxic coal ash sit on the shore of Lake Michigan, only held back from our drinking water by an aging, corroded seawall that is close to 100 years old, 30 years past its prime. This wall was recently downgraded, and our own independent consultants found problems with NIPSCO's report. Here in Gary, NIPSCO has toxic coal ash ponds on the lake at their vacated Dean Mitchell site. When these walls blow, the cleanup will be impossible. NIPSCO knows this and has no plan for removal. OUCC and IURC do not continue to allow corporate predators of our communities, our lakefront, and the drinking water for more than 10 million people laugh all the way to the bank, while our most vulnerable Hoosier populations suffer. You are responsible. Do not allow this egregious request. Thank you.
Shaw Friedman. Ma'am, if you would please state your name and spell it for the record.
Okay. Maddie Perry Lightfoot, MATTIE-PERRY-LIGHTFOOT.
Thank you.
I'm a retired state employee. I'm also a volunteer for AARP and advocate for AARP. I'm here tonight to speak out over this new increase, in which you just had an increase in 2023. I live on fixed income myself, getting a 2.5 Social Security increase, which is about $28 for me, and Medicare Part B is going up $10, so that takes $10 away from there. Everything else is high. I try in my household to keep lights off when they're not needed. I try to, when I leave rooms, turn them off. I try to do everything to lower my electric and gas bill, but the more I do that, the more increases are being put through. And the other thing about these projects are that we're paying for them, but once the projects are finished, we're still paying for these projects. The other thing is that there are a lot of outages, and I'm wondering, what is NIPSCO doing about this? About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I was cooking my dinner, and the lights went out. And this happens in my neighborhood at least about once a year. And with these new generations and things that they're talking about doing to, I assume, to make things better for us, or the projects better, or their working operations better, what about the outages that we have at least once a year? And that was 5 hours it was out. It was close to like 30-some degrees that night. My house was beginning to get cold once it came back on. I hadn't even finished my dinner. I needed my oven. I hadn't finished my dinner that night. Food, gasoline, repairs. We have all these things just like everybody do. The CEOs, all the ones that have all this money in pocket. We have the same bills, but we don't have enough money. I'd like to have a few dollars left rather than a few pennies left out of my monthly income. This charge for $14 to $25, that's outrageous. That's 28.6% increase. And the 20.15 increase is more than $30 a month. And we estimate that to be a more than $500 a year increase that we'll be paying to NIPSCO. I'd just like for you just to give us a break for once.
Yes.
In Gary, the city where there are more senior citizens than anybody else that are living on fixed income just like me. And it's just outrageous. Everybody is trying to make it. Everybody is trying to have a little money left over in their pockets. Everybody just wants to live comfortably. With everything going up, nobody can live comfortably. They're trying to figure out how to pay their utility bills and how to have enough money to eat every day. And it's ridiculous. Like I said, just give us a break so that we can be happy and live comfortably like everybody else.
Dagoberto Martinez. If you would state your name and spell it for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Paul Kachaha, spelled P-A-U-L. Last name spelled K-A-C as in cat, Z as in zebra, O-C as in cat, H-A. I am a 73-year-old retired steelworker, living at home with my disabled sister that I take care of, who's 55, and my wife, who's also in her 60s. We have had our power, the sister before me spoke about losing power once every year. From August 2023 to August 2024, we lost power 8 times for long periods of time. Some of them were short, maybe only a few hours, but several of them were 4 hours and more. And and last year they had there was an increase for NIPSCO. What did they do with that money? They kept saying, oh, we're going to repair things. We're going to make it better so you're not losing power all the time. Well, that hasn't happened. Last night, with the ferocious winds and the cold temperatures, I was thinking, we're going to lose our power. Most likely, I worried all night about losing power in this kind of weather. It didn't happen, thank goodness, but nonetheless, this rate increase is going to affect those of us on fixed incomes. I'm on a fixed income. My retirement from the steel industry, from the steel workers, doesn't get a cost of living increase like your Social Security does. I know people who've been retired for 25 years and they've never had their retirement pension money increased because there is no cost of living increase for pensions. So our pension just keeps dwindling down, and with increases like this and increases in food, increases in all the things that we have to do to survive, I'm relatively well off, but there's many people I know that are not. I mean, I have a pension, I have a Social Security, and even though now there's talk about taking pensions out of your Social Security so that you can't have a pension and Social Security. That's what one of the big brain solutions is, to make things more efficient in the government. Probably thought of by somebody like the BlackRock people. Nonetheless, we can't afford, those of us on fixed incomes and those people who are much worse off than I am, that are living hand to mouth almost, cannot afford any more increases in the electrical rate. Like the sister before me, I get a notice from NIPSCO telling me how efficient I am in my neighborhood compared to everybody else, and it seems like I'm always number one. I'm always the least efficient person, even no matter how many LED lights I put in, no matter how many lights I keep off, no matter all the things I do, I'm still number one. So I'd like to implore, and actually on behalf of citizens, demand that we not be taxed again with another increase from NIPSCO. Thank you.
Smith? Mr. Friedman? Come on down, Mr. Smith, you're on. Please. Thank you. If you would state your name and spell it for the record.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Attorney Shaw Friedman, S-H-A-W, last name Friedman, F-R-I-E-D-M-A-N, 705 Lincoln Way in LaPorte. I've practiced governmental and employment law for some 40 years and have been a member of the utility bar for 25 years and have represented numerous governmental clients in front of this commission. While I may yet have a client who seeks to intervene and file testimony before the December 19th deadline, right now I'm here on my own time and my own dime. Because of this commission's 2023 order, NIPSCO now has the highest electric rates in Indiana, and I would agree with Citizens Action Coalition, the true ask here of average ratepayers when including base rates, demand charge, and trackers is actually a $42 a month increase, or a 31% increase from an average electric bill of $137 to $179 a month. Now, mind you, intervener City of Michigan City asked in the last rate case to send NIPSCO a message with a lowered return on equity, a lower profit margin, if you will, to indicate dissatisfaction with NIPSCO outage restoration times, which are longest of the investor-owned utilities, excluding big storms, and their lower than average J.D. Power customer satisfaction rankings on both residential and commercial customer surveys. Our concerns were lessened and certainly not addressed in the commission order, which candidly seemed more concerned with how NiSource was being viewed on Wall Street than on Main Street. I'm asking this commission, and if Commissioner Ziegner was here, he'd remember, to rediscover the boldness and courage this commission showed 2 decades ago when I, as one of the attorneys for Citizens Action Coalition, an outstanding citizens group that is continuing its great work. Back then, I was an attorney for Citizens Action Coalition. We helped win a 5.5% rate credit for customers in 2002 that was on customer bills for the next 10 years, returning $500 million to customers. Woo! And I'm asking this commission to rediscover that boldness and the creativity and innovation. For instance, one of your members now, Commissioner Bennett, you've brought creativity and innovation to DLGF and have done a great job at that agency. We're asking for the same kind of innovation and creativity. I'm asking this commission to rediscover the boldness and courage it took back in 2004 to stop NIPSCO from closing down 5 service centers, and you did. This commission had the guts, and Commissioner Ziegner was right there, and I believe wrote the order. The first time in the country that a utility service center closings plan was stopped dead in its tracks. And I believe, as I say, it was Commissioner Ziegner who may have written the order. Unfortunately, in recent years, the commission has gotten a bit of a reputation as being overly sympathetic to the investor-owned utilities. And because of various orders, we now have the 12th highest electric bills in the nation. Hence the attractiveness to a savvy investor like Steven Schwartzman, the 25th richest man on the planet, to have his Blackstone group invest $2 billion to buy a 20% share of NIPSCO. It is time for this commission to task your staff, which I have found to be highly skilled, just as the staff is at the OUCC, with coming up with creative ways to help lessen the burden on average residential and commercial ratepayers who can't afford these confiscatory rates any longer. Take a look at resetting the earnings bank. Take a look at earnings sharing strategies like you did with off-system sales. There is a pattern with prior commission orders where you did that and you split off-system sales so that shareholders and customers would benefit. The same with lowering the return on equity that's awarded to 9%, which still represents a decent rate of return within the acceptable range, but would save ratepayers almost $100 million. Isn't it time for burden sharing? Blackstone only committed $250 million to new infrastructure as part of their $2 billion equity investment. Is that fair? Again, task the staff with looking at that. Why should Mrs. Smith, a pensioner living on a fixed income on Homer Street in Michigan City, have to kick in a greater percentage of her income to help NIPSCO with its transition to renewables and new infrastructure than Mr. Schwartzman? Mr. Schwartzman, who's now worth $54 billion as CEO and chairman of Blackstone, the largest private equity fund on the world that has $1 trillion in assets. You are all well familiar, you commissioners, with Scott Hempling's book on proper utility regulation. I'd like to make it a part of the record as he teaches us all various techniques on how to properly balance shareholder interest with ratepayer interest, and I would ask that it be made part of the record, specifically page 84 of his outstanding treatise, if I could. Thank you all.
John Halkertis, Halkpergis. If you would please state your name and spell it.
Yes, ma'am. Dagoberto Martinez, Dagoberto Martinez. Your Honor, esteemed panelists, fellow customers and Indiana residents, good evening. I will be short but succinct. As a retired individual who is a state employee from the state of Indiana, I have seen many financial budgets of families who are struggling in the state. I've seen families of 3 try to live on $288 for a month. I've seen people on minimum wage who have somehow barely managed to earn 40 quarters worth of income to qualify for Social Security, but do not have enough of a payment to be able to pay all their bills as it is today. In my own lifetime, luckily, I've accumulated a pension as a state employee and Social Security payment because I'm an old person. But I will never accumulate a 20% increase of income within any decade of time, let alone all at one time. And to my final point, if the purpose of this commission is to determine what was previously stated, this increase is not a just and reasonable proposed rate and does not meet the standard of that. Thank you very much and good evening.
Dennis Bolts. Sir, no, you're up next to the podium.
Was that Smith? Or?
Dennis Smith is
Okay,
next to
good.
the podium, please.
There are a lot of us.
So I go over there.
Dennis Smith, D-E-N-N-I-S-S-M-I-T-H. I've heard very articulate arguments tonight, and one that you might not need to consider is the one about being able to afford the raises. I'm in the same category as one of the previous gentlemen. I'm a retired steelworker myself, and I live on a fixed income. But I think that the real point here is not if we can afford it, because I don't know if that's really something you can consider, but is it justified? And forgive me if these facts have not been brought up yet are not accurate, because I've looked for confirmation in several sources, but I haven't been able to definitely pin these down. But a couple of things to consider if these facts are true is that there have been 4 increases in rates in the past 2 years from NIPSCO. And I'm trying to figure out, don't these people have any better information to come up with a rate increase that will cover more than just increasing it 4 times in 2 years? The other thing that I found really, well, like another person said, egregious as far as the rate increases are concerned, was, and I repeat, I'm not sure if this is correct, but I've read that the CEO of NIPSCO is scheduled to get a $2 million increase in his salary. And I'm trying to figure out, if that is true, where does that money come from? Is this? Yeah, that's a good. I don't want to say because I don't know, but these people have a pretty good idea, I think. So that's all I have to say, and thank you.
Thank you. Mary Cossey? Sir, you are up. Hello, Mayor.
Me?
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
If you would state your name, please, and spell it.
Yes. My name is John Halkitis. John, common spelling, Halkitis. And I don't know what I can add to the previous speakers that spoke so well, but I will tell you my story. Last week on Thursday, I believe it was last week on Thursday, there was a meeting in Valparaiso. In Valparaiso. And I was in Cherville helping a friend of mine do some work. He was disabled. And when we finished, I came in the house and I was washing my hands, and he had the television on, and I saw this blurb about the meeting in Valparaiso at 6 p.m. So I live in Lake Station, and I couldn't make it. By the time I drove from Cherville to Lake Station, took a shower, and drive to Valpo, it just wasn't possible. So the next day I called NIPSCO to find out where the next meeting might be. And the person who I was speaking with, I was on hold for 15 minutes. I finally got a human being, and she told me that I don't know. And I thought, in fact, I told her, I said, NIPSCO is putting on these hearings wouldn't someone like in any department know where these meetings are going to take place? She put me on hold again, and about 5 minutes later came back and she said, no one knows like where the next meeting is going to be that I can find out from. And I suggest that you contact the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. So I went to everybody's friend. I went to Google, and I pulled up an article on from the Post-Tribune, and it talked about the meeting tonight here, and all the information that the previous speakers had provided. And I thought to myself, I'm retired letter carrier. All my years in Gary Post Office. And I thought, per the article, 483,000 customers in NIPSCO. Based on what was in the article and not the handout here tonight, the handout here tonight is more money, that would equate to over 185 million a year. CEO Lloyd Yates makes 9.2 million a year. All the executive officers are over $2 million. Stocks, options, salaries, bonuses. And I thought to myself, as a young man, I invested in NIPSCO. I bought stock because it was a fair dividend. It wasn't extravagant. It wasn't the junk bonds, but it was fair, and I reinvested them over the years. And my first thought was, there are so many people affected, so many families. Why don't they cut the dividends to the stockholders? And I'm one of them. Why don't they cut the executive pay? Reduce it. When we talk about like these increases and at so much, I mean, who's not going to buy food and heat their home in the winter? Just isn't possible. And when we talk about like, when I hear like these about these executives and these companies that are just reeling in profits, I think to myself, like, this country is divided racially, economically, socially. I don't know where we're going with this. And yet, these companies and people who think this way, more is not enough.
Right.
It's never enough.
You're here.
Never enough.
Yeah.
So, the commissioners, this is in your hands, and you can stop it.
You can stop it.
I appreciate the time to speak.
I know you are passionate. Right. I respect that. But this is just as if you are in court. And if we cannot maintain decorum, we'll need to take a break, which will then not enable me to get to as many people. So please try.
I want to finish with this. It's something I read a long time ago, and it was from the Depression. Because when people are living like in such a frugal way now, and it goes like this: use it up, wear it out. Make it last or do without. Thank you.
Barbara Hardgrove.
Check, 1, 2. Is that working?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Janice?
My name is Tanis.
Yes.
Tanis, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Please.
Hi, my name is Tanis Foltz, spelled T-A-N-I-C-E, just like Janice, but with a T. And the last name is Foltz, F-O-L-T-Z. I'm a professor at IU Northwest, so I'm actually still working for just a little bit longer, but I am 75 years old and very soon retiring, so I will be on a fixed income too. Right now, and for the past many, many years, as my friends can attest, I keep my house at about 60 degrees. That's at night, 59, 55. And during the day, when I'm home, I go up to 65. Again, my friends can attest to this. My house has a lot of windows, which sometimes is a blessing and sometimes not so much. But, so I do that in order to keep my NIPSCO bill below $300 a month, which is nearly impossible. Yeah. And I'm employed, and I have a pretty good job. But the rest of the people on my block, and we live up an alley that is difficult to plow and needs a lot of potholes filled and all that kind of thing. Not your business. But one of my neighbors is 94 years old. So I imagine that she turns her heat up to probably in the 70s. I'm guessing, you think? Oh, yeah. She's 94, going on 95, and she has home health care, coming to stay with her. So I imagine they want to be comfortable when they're in her home. I have another neighbor who's actually employed, but she lost her husband a few years ago, and she has some major health issues, and finally found some part-time employment again. So she's struggling. She's over 65. There's not that many great paying jobs when you're over 65, as probably many of you can attest to. And she has some dogs with health care issues too, but they're kind of her family now, right, since her husband died. There's like one young couple, in quotes young, 60-ish, on our block, and one of them cannot work any longer due to a health issue. And the female of the couple goes to work in Chicago. So, but at any rate, I'm speaking for them too, because she was at work all day today and couldn't come, and the woman who lost her husband is just way too tired at the end of the day to do anything else, and she has dogs with diabetes and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, I'm speaking for them too. Other neighbors are older than me. All right, I'm 75, so they're older than I am, and some have lost husbands, and so they're living on fixed incomes too. So I'm just saying, especially I just really want to thank Carolyn and Susan and the attorney and Larry and all these people who have given such amazing and well-researched statistics. I really think we are all grateful to you for doing that. It really makes everything suck so much, this request. It really is outrageous. It's out of bounds. And as somebody was saying too, I live in Miller Beach, and yet one outage a year, give me a break. Give me a break. Yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8, more like that. Right. More like that. Yeah. And so, like last night, I got my candles out for sure, and my flashlights. Yeah. Because I only put my heat up to 65, and that's when it's really cold. So I load up. Like I wear a lot of clothes because I'm pretty active. But at any rate, I just wanted to say a few words on behalf of my neighbors, and hopefully, I hope this commission will take into consideration all the wonderful things that people have said that are really hard-hitting about Gary being a place that has a huge amount of unemployment, a lot of crime. People are, we're paying a very, very high rate here. It just all seems to be going against us, and people are really, really struggling. Much more so than I am. Much more so than I am. So I'm trying to be a voice for them too. That's all I have to say. I hope you will consider all of our comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Carla Cherry. Carla Cherry. If you would please state your name and spell it.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Mary, M-A-R-Y, Cossey, C-O-S-S-E-Y, and I am the first Vice President of the Gary branch of the NAACP. Before I talk about the proposed rate hike, I just want to say to the commission that I think that it is ridiculous that these meetings are scheduled at a venue, one, that doesn't hold enough people, and two, at a venue that will close at 7:30, which would not potentially give people enough time, every person that wants to speak on behalf of this increase. If you're able to hire the state police to come to Gary, why can't you pay the facility for the additional hours that you would remain open so that every voice is heard? So now, to talk about the NIPSCO increase. We just received a rate increase. NIPSCO received a rate increase in August of 2023 under cause number 45772. Here we are 1 year and a few months later, and they're asking us to pay an additional 20%. In case you're not aware, the median household income in Gary is $36,874. The median income for a household in East Chicago last year was $26,538. That is lower than the national median income of $75,149. How do you anticipate that anyone is able to pay any additional amount of money? With the increase in the cost of food, medications, the rising cost of car insurance, for certain, I know that my car insurance this year has gone up $2,500. Wow. Yes. The cost of my homeowner's insurance has gone up over $800. How do you anticipate that a person with that median income is going to be able to meet all of those costs? At some point, there will be a choice that has to be made. Do I keep my lights on or do I buy my medication? Right. At what point is the commission going to say, NIPSCO, we're not giving an increase to you this year, particularly because it's just been a little over a year? Let's just talk about for a minute public safety officers. The average salary of a police officer in Gary, Maryville, and East Chicago is $57,404, still below the median income of the nation of $76,000. Their gross income is $4,783.72 biweekly. If you average their expenses, it's roughly $4,670. Where is the additional amount of money going to come? What I am asking, or let me just say this, in Illinois, state regulators recently rejected ComEd's proposed rate hike, and I urge you all to do the same. The last thing that I will say is, my question is, have you all even looked at where the money or how the money NIPSCO received in the last rate increase in 2023 to see that that money has been used appropriately? My last statement is I urge you to reject this proposal.
Christine Eisel? No, Ms. Harper, you're up at the podium.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. If you would please state your name and spell.
My name is Barbara, B-A-R-B-A-R-A, and the last name is Hargrove, H-A-R-G-R-O-V-E. Yes, my name is Barbara Hargrove, and I'm representing the Society of St. Vincent de Paul in the Diocese of Gary, which represents Lake, Porter, Stark, and LaPorte counties. Our organization is a 501c3 nonprofit, totally volunteer organization. We assist our neighbors in need of food, housing, and utility financial assistance. I'm one of the over 400 volunteers who assist in this extensive network. Although we are a Catholic organization, we assist all in need of all the money spent. Last year, over half went to utilities. I just spoke with my finance person in Hammond. I'm located in Hammond, sorry. 35,000 people we alone serve for food, rent, and utilities. Over $1 million, over half was spent on utilities. And she is telling me right now that if this rate increase goes into effect, she does not know where the money is coming from because we are losing money left and right. And it is looking really sad. So if this increase goes through, we don't know where the money is going to be coming from. I would also like to add, being a retiree, I have many friends without a pension struggling to survive only on Social Security or Social Security disability. They're barely able to heat their homes, and 60s is sometimes warm for them. Now with these extreme temperatures and God forbid a problem with anybody's furnace, their bills will be beyond their ability to pay. As a person who delivers food, who helps those who are in need, their stories are tearjerkers, believe me. So I ask and I pray that you do not allow this increase. Thank you.
Paul Keisel.
Hello, all. My name is Carla Cherry. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know either. Okay. C-A-R-L-A. My last name is Cherry, just like the fruit. C-H-E-R-R-Y. Okay, I'm speaking as a regular working person. I'm not a part of a committee. I'm not on no group. I have to pay bills like everybody else. I go to work. NIPSCO keeps raising and raising and raising our bills. So I'm speaking for my brothers who are on disability, who can't. They go try to get help every year to pay their NIPSCO. I still go to work every day, but my husband just retired. I'm speaking for my church because we can't hardly afford our bill at the church house. My temple can't hardly keep the doors open. So I need the commission to look at this. I looked up NIPSCO's revenue. Their revenue is $5.8 billion for 2024. How do they need help to build anything? We don't have that kind of help. If I need to fix something in my house, I got to save or make payments or do something. So I'm asking as a regular person. I ain't asking y'all to hand me out nothing. I'm going to pay my bill even if I have to pay it on payments. But what I am asking is you think about these residents. Think about the people who live here. We don't have any help. Inflation is 4.4% right now in 2024. They say it's going down next year. I ain't going to hold my breath. So I need you to understand, we need somebody to stand for the people. Don't stand for a corporation that's got money and investors. Stand for us. I need to be able to go home and turn my lights on after working all day. I need to be able to sleep in a warm house without worrying about if I'm going to be able to starve to death to pay that bill. So help us by telling NIPSCO no. Thank you.
Bruce Curry. Bruce Curry.
Good evening. I'd like to thank all the subjects of the kingdom. Oh, Christine Kissel, K-R-I-S-T-I-N-E-K-Y-S-E-L. I'd like to thank the subjects of our area for coming to speak to the kingdom. I'd like to tell you a story. This area along the shores of Lake Michigan was developed by industrialists. They came in with their power and their money and they built steel mills and gas hubs and power plants. They all came in and they flourished. They made money, and their subjects worked hard. They physically labored and made the industrialists so much money. They were strong. And the industrialists said, we want to give a monopoly to a power company on the terms that the commission would oversee the rich power company, making sure that the interests of the people was the first thing the commission did. NIPSCO was so happy. Oh my God. They started throwing coal ash all over the state, in my neighborhood, in your neighborhood, everywhere they could. And people, myself included, have been fighting them for 30 years to clean up their toxic waste that is poisoning my well. today and for the last 30 years. But they don't have enough money to clean up their mess. They need more money, $9 billion a year. Why should they clean up their mess? When my children make a mess on the floor, I don't get to ask the neighbors to pay me money to clean up my kid's mess. NIPSCO makes a lot of money. They are undisputedly a rotten company. They have lying. We have had lawsuits against them proven that they have false data. And they put it out there in reality, which makes the coal ash dumps, which are everywhere, 10 million gallons a quarter of a mile from my house. I like that a lot. I left my house on the beach because it was real crowded and polluted because it was right next to NIPSCO, and I moved out to the country just to find out that a quarter mile away there's 10 million tons of coal ash leaching into my well. So we have been fighting people in need of environmental safety, and we have been having our wages taken more and more and more. So now the subjects are being asked to be taxed again so the industrialists can maybe buy a fourth or fifth home. I think they should have it. What the hell? Yeah. Why should we have heat? Why should we have lights? My power goes off at least 20 times a year and many times for several days. The service I get from NIPSCO, besides poisoning my well, is abysmal. Abysmal. And it takes many, many hours to get it back. I'm in the country in Porter County. The kingdom of NIPSCO is, you are their boss and we are your boss. And the right thing to do is tell them to put their own money back in their own company. We are not their bank. This is a shameful thing that we're even having these hearings, asking people in a state that has 40% or more poverty level. 40% of people in Indiana are below the poverty level. And you dare come to us and say, let those guys just make several billion a year. I don't think they should put any money in the company. Y'all pay it again. We subjects are tired of the taxes. This tax is immoral.
My name is Paul Kissel, Paulkysel. As was stated at the outset, key provision of the Commission's mission statement is that it serve as both an impartial advocate of neither the public nor the utilities it oversees, to be objective, I guess. The Commission is required, as was stated by state statute, to make decisions in the public's interest to ensure the utilities provide safe and reliable service at just and reasonable rates. And I think everyone tonight that is speaking is questioning whether or not the rates as proposed or even as they exist are just and reasonable. In our opinions, they're not. I'd assert to you that in many Hoosiers' opinions, the Commission has become an advocate for the very utilities that it's charged to oversee. It's largely become a rubber stamp for these utilities when they pursue rate increases to further increase their profits. Utilities, as well as large industrial and commercial energy users, have deep pockets. They hire law firms to promote their interests in front of you. We do not. We rely on you. Foolish us. So too does the coal industry, who lobby and promote on behalf of the utilities that they're in bed with. The public, therefore, must look to you to fulfill its mission statement, which I think everyone here can tell you that in our opinion, you don't. NIPSCO was gifted with the electric rate mentioned in 2023, gifted with a gas rate hike in 2024, gifted with the approval for customers to foot the bill for a $600+ million peaker gas plant that will hopefully not have to run very often. They have also requested that the cleanup of the Michigan City generating station be considered routine maintenance so that they can pass those costs onto us ratepayers.
And write off for taxes.
As if the rate gifts aren't enough, earlier this year, as we have already heard, NiSource, the pro-profit parent of NIPSCO, sold a 20% stake to the largest equity firm, Blackstone. Why would Blackstone be interested in investing in utilities? Obviously because they expect the rate of return to be pretty darn sweet. Otherwise they wouldn't invest. NIPSCO customers are now paying the highest electric rates, as we've heard, and new data shows that 42% of Hoosiers are struggling to afford basic necessities, and you've heard all about that tonight, the highest percentage in the Midwest. Meanwhile, NIPSCO seeks to collect an additional $368 million more from their customers every year. So I ask, is that what just and reasonable rates look like? No. So how do any of these facts support your mission statement of ensuring just and reasonable rates for NIPSCO ratepayers? Please listen to what we're telling you and stop being a stamp for corporate greed. Thanks.
First, I'd like to give honor to the commission, Judge Lloyd, the community give honor to my Lord, Jesus Christ. And I'd just like this commission to show some compassion. What I see here, NIPSCO is owned by NiSource. NiSource has basically, you know the history, Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, all the areas. But I'm coming from a point of love and compassion. 2020, 2021, they got $1.2 million, $22 billion. They were part of a consortium of 16 companies across the country, got the relief funds. Those funds was given to NIPSCO, big money. Part of that $1.2 billion. Total package was $120 billion was given across the country to everybody to get out of this. My family, probably like other families, probably could raise their hand and say they lost somebody. They died because of that pandemic and all that. They lost somebody that's not sitting at the table right now. So when I go through the scenario, what's going on, everybody wants to raise prices. Utility, to me, in 2024 is a God-given thing. It's something that everyone should have. You should have utilities, because if you don't have utilities, you might not be getting clean water. It's a health thing. It's a health risk. I'm a member of the NAACP. I deal with education. I talk to students and kids. This decision is affecting our kids. Does a kid make a choice to eat or the power is not on? What do? I mean, you know what you can fix when you don't have power on, if you had power off. So I'm coming from a stand. I'm in Tolleson. I see people, and I think the other points I don't have to make are what the income is in this area. It's lack of investment for almost 50 years. You can go up and down the streets. I heard NIPSCO, and I think it was another company, Midwest, own the street lights and put power on and all that. I hadn't seen street lights on since I've been in Gary. And so I don't know what they did with the money. So my biggest issue right now is, as I do a timeline, I ask myself, it's a God-given right. Right now, there's a lot of elderly that got through the pandemic, and they have family members taking care of them at home. Guess what they need? Some need oxygen. Some need power. Some need other things. Then what happens, NIPSCO comes into Gary And, we talk sustainability, saving gas, money. We already see all the trucks and stuff in the area. We already know this is the highest area for air pollution. And now we got to deal with this, another item. Personally, I recommend that we not accept any rate hikes. I think it's the flip side. I think it should be a Christmas holiday for 4 months that NIPSCO pays back everybody they owe for what they did. Because they got money and we didn't get no money. I didn't get nothing cut on my bill after they got the relief fund. So we should have got a Christmas holiday of 4 months of paid utilities in the winter or something, whatever that number is they owe us. So we're talking about asking for something. We don't really need to increase it. We need to help. They need to be, basically, my mom used to call it Santa Claus. They need to be Santa Claus for the community. Because right now, we already know it's coming. Taxes is going up. Food costs, because we've been talking about we can't get nothing international. Now we got to grow our own food. So we're going to need utility. We're going to need help. And I see a utility company needs to be innovative. They should have, by this time, with all the solar and all the stuff going on, they should have came back with cost reductions that should have cut our bill by at least 30 to 40%. But I haven't seen that. So there needs to be there's some dead weight in them offices at NIPSCO. They need to be removed. That should be your focus. Go in, get rid of the dead weight, get people who care about the community and about reducing costs. There's no more cost. I was born, y'all look at me, y'all think I'm old. I'm almost 100. I'm a lot closer to 100 than 0, okay? I remember when Coke was a nickel. Oh, no, y'all may not, some of the kids don't know what I'm talking about, but it was a nickel. Now everything keeps going up. I can't understand it. I used to drink out of a water hose. I didn't have to buy no bottled water, but now everything, I'm gonna die if I do. So just help us. I'm coming from the angle of you. You and me are on the same team. I love you, you love me. Show me you love me by rejecting this.
Your Honor, in light of how long we have been going and asking the court reporter to go, I would suggest a break at this time, please.
Time is 6:15, and then break and back on the record. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are 6:25, and on the record here momentarily. 19 individuals have finished to speak tonight. To help ensure that everyone has time to make their points and address the commission, if you are testifying, please keep your testimony correct, to the point, and as concise as you can. Feel free to simply say you support what's been said previously and avoid repetition. With that, we'll go back on the record. Ms. Barr-Straight, when you're ready. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to call 3 names again so we can load the chairs in front and start at the podium, please. Mary Cossey.
She's already spoken to you.
Darian Collins. Councilman Bill Harriman. Ms. Cossey?
She spoke already.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
That's okay.
Am I speaking first now? You're second. Okay.
Pat Joyner. Are you Ms. Collins?
Yes.
You're first at the podium, please.
Thank you. Good evening. I speak loud, so you should be able to hear me. I talk loud. My name is Darian, D-A-R-I-A-N. Last name is Collins, C-O-L-L-I-N-S. I am a life member of the NAACP and also involved in several other community organizations. I earn my living as a health and life insurance broker, and I have a very, very large concentration of clients who are on Medicare. So this is the time of year, Saturday, that I have to work with people so that they can make a determination of what their insurance is going to be next year. If you look at the trend of what is happening with Medicare, and particularly Medicare Advantage, there's this group of benefits that are out now where people can pick a utility credit or a food credit because households are struggling. I talk to people every day. Their income is $900 a month, $1,300 a month, $1,600 a month. There is an incredible amount of people on Medicare who are also applying for Medicaid in the state of Indiana because they cannot afford to live. They can't afford rent. They can't afford food. They are doing everything they can to get every public benefit out there that they can to survive. It makes no sense now that people are calling saying, look at our televisions. Look at what's on there for Medicare every day. They're talking about extra benefits because people are struggling. They don't have enough money to pay rent, to buy food, to pay utilities. So I get a phone call or 2 or 5 or 10 every week. I want the plan with the utility credit. I want the $150 a quarter for NIPSCO. Why in the richest country in the world do we have struggling seniors trying to get insurance to take care of their bodies that also promises them some money to pay their utility bill? Something is wrong with that. Something is wrong. The system is broken. I already favor universal health care because we have to do better, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about this utility increase. My seniors cannot afford 22%. They cannot afford it. They are in line every Saturday at the food bank trying to get food. They're trying to figure out, can they get extra help? You all know what extra help is, the federal program for people that make less than $22,000 a year so that they can get a cut on their medications. They are doing everything they can to try to make it. I was at the Urban League on Tuesday. It was a revolving door of people coming in asking for rental assistance. They looked older people, younger people, white, black, Hispanic men. We are in a crisis. We don't have 22%. We don't have it. We don't have it. People are up here saying, oh, I can do it. No, we can't. Public health is about all of us. We cannot give 22%. It's not there. So I'm asking, I know that you look at statistics. I know you look at data. We want to have good corporate health and corporate partners. We want corporations in Indiana to flourish so that we can attract companies and families and grow. But Indiana is at the bottom 5 in a whole lot of statistics. So some of the things that we are hoping for are not happening. And we are going into an uncertain time next year. We don't know what's going to be cut. We don't know what's going to change. We don't know what's going to be eliminated. This is not the time to give a corporation that just got an increase 14, 15 months ago on electric rates another one. This is not the time to do that. So I am asking all of you, look at the public indicators out there. I have an application where they actually ask, are you homeless? I'm filling out an application for somebody for drug coverage, and it asks, are you homeless? This is how desperate the times are right now for a lot of our seniors. So this is not the time for a 22% increase on electricity. This is the time to hold, wait, let's see what's going to happen. We don't know how much goods and services are going to be that we need. We don't know what tomatoes are going to cost, what lettuce is going to cost, what chicken is going to cost. We cannot afford it right now. So I'm asking that you all listen and look at what's happening, truly happening to the individuals that are the least in our community, because they can't do this. I sent a lady yesterday to Bethel Church in Crown Point to get help with her NIPSCO bill. This is not the time. So I'm asking you to say no. Thank you.
Pat Joyner. Pastor Thomas Ayton. Robert Williams. Sir, if you would please state your name and spell.
Good evening, Board. My name is William Perryman. Last name Perryman. I am a 5th District Councilman of the City of Hobart. I am here to go against this rate increase. I represent, again, the 5th District of my city. And my city has a population of just a little bit over 29,000 people. And my district is roughly, I represent roughly around 1,300 people in my district. And my district is roughly around, have about 80% is under qualified for low and reduced lunch for the families that go to school. And about 10% of those families live on or have disabilities. They live on disability checks. 14% of those people are in poverty. Explained and approximately 1,800 of those are veterans that live on fixed income. The median household in Hobart is around $68,000. The people there can't afford, my people in my district can't afford this rate increase. It's outrageous.
Good job.
It's outrageous. They're older. They retired. They serve their country. They can't afford it. Cannot afford it. NIPSCO has to do like everybody else to do. They need to work on themselves and fix what they have. Everybody else has. We have, as individuals here, if we have something we have to fix, we have to do it ourselves. We have to budget ourselves to do something. NIPSCO has to do the same thing. We can't just go and call mommy and daddy to come and, hey, we need something. NIPSCO can't come to the customer and say, hey, we need our money. We need more. We need more. Can't do that. Right now, I'm retired. I'm a retired veteran myself. I'm paying my bills, but I'm also helping my mother pay hers. It's hard. After my mom pays hers, I'm taking funds out for my family to get her food on her table, pay her medication. NIPSCO doesn't need no more money from us. No more. There's no reason a CEO needs another $3 billion for their fancy boats, cars, trips, everything else. This is my first year in office as a councilman. I did it to run for the people.
All right.
My city budget money, my city council money, I haven't taken a lick from it. Every month I give it back to the people. I donate it to every single cause I can think of. Have not taken a dime. I've given it, I go and volunteer at the township. I see what the township people in Hobart go through. I can just imagine what the Calumet Township people go through. Time is enough. It's enough. When is enough? I just hope that you all can see it. Especially when I saw the NIPSCO draft, how they're going to be the highest rates in the Midwest. I was dumbfounded. I am shocked that there was no other politician here voicing their opinion on this.
That's the truth. We're there.
Pat Boy is here.
So I demand you guys take serious thought on this raise this rate raise and think of the people. These people here in Northwest Indiana, the whole northern state, they need help. We need help. Desperate help. Times are hard. It's going to get hard. Next month, when we get a new president, it's going to be harder. With everything he's going to be saying that's going to be happening, they are saying it's going to go. Everything's going up. Can't do this. Please don't do this. I'm asking you, please don't put this rate in. Thank you.
Mildred Alcorn. Mildred Alcorn.
Good evening, everybody.
I need you to state your name and spell it, and you're good. We're hearing you. Thank you.
My name is Patricia Joyner, Patricia Joyner, Joyner. Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to let you guys know that I am a preschool teacher. So being a preschool teacher, we don't get paid a lot of money. I am the guardian of my mother, who is 88 years old, who cannot come out tonight because she told me her knee was hurting, so she could not come. But I also stand for her as well. My mother's income is $963 a month. Her NIPSCO bill is $250. I just applied for assistance for her through the Energy Assistance Program. And then I looked at her bill, and her bill is $529, which I have to pay $429 by the 18th of this month, or she's going to be cut off. This is a senior citizen who has been living in her house all my life, and I dare not say my age at this time, but I want to let you guys know that after she finished paying her bills, just like the gentleman before me, I take money out of my household and make sure that she has food on her table. Make sure that her water bill is paid, her NIPSCO is paid, even though my NIPSCO is about to be cut off as well, but I make sure that she has her stuff on, and I just make a payment plan with NIPSCO. So if you guys are going to increase more money, not only on the senior citizens in the city of Gary and around the surrounding areas, think of the little people like myself, a preschool teacher, single, putting her son through school. He's a high schooler now. But it's hard. And I thank God for the community around me, like his grandfather, to help me take him to school and me pick him up after school. That extra money that you guys are trying to take from us.
It's okay.
It's my gas money to take him back and forth to school, to take my mother back and forth to the doctor. If you continue to increase their rates, it's going to be harder for me as well as my son, not including my mother, who has dementia. Some days she knows where she is, and some days she knows who I am. But I take it all in stride because I know it's the disease and not my mother. But to know the statistics of NIPSCO, I need you to think about what you're doing to the community, not only in Gary, the surrounding areas. And I just want to respectfully request that you please prioritize the needs of the community over the corporate profits.
And I want you to think about the voices that you heard here. I'm sorry, I tried to get myself together. And I want you to think about the impact that you're going to have on everybody. Thank you.
Are you Pastor Pete? Yes. Okay, that's fine. My chairs are a little light, so let's try this again. Robert Williams. Mildred Alcorn. Sydney Savage. Jackie. Looks like Jacqueline Lynn. Please.
Okay. My name is Pastor Thomas Payton, Thomas Payton. I had to come out here tonight. I was talking with a young lady, and she is part of our precinct. I'm a precinct captain. And I asked her, was she coming to the meeting? She said she was a little tired. I said, well, I got to go because we can afford not to go. There's a song that they sang in the church. It says, I've been running for God for a long time and I'm not tired yet. I'm 70 years old. I remember when I was a child, I used to have to go to school in Michigan City is where I grew up, but I pastored in Gary. I mean in Michigan City, I live in Gary. And I used to sit in class, and my mother raised us, and she had 4 boys, but she was a single mother. And we would sit in the class, and they would have the milk cartons come in, you know, they would used to bring the milk in. And we couldn't afford milk. So we'd have to sit there and hope that maybe one of the other kids that wouldn't show up for class so we could get the milk. And that was a humiliating feeling. I never forgot that. That was back in the 1958, 59. And all of my life, I've dealt with being on the other side of poverty. And I'm 70 years old, and I'm still going through that. I can't lay down to die in peace. One day I told my grandchildren, the reason I can't, because I see how you're living in a country that refuses to let you have dignity and to let you have your part of the dream that people work for. I pastored a church for 20 years, and this is why I can't understand how these guys sit up in these offices with these nice $2,000 suits on and Gucci shoes and all the good cologne and sit up and just bleed poor people out of everything that they have.
My God.
I pastored a church 20 years and I never took a salary. I told God I wasn't going to be a preacher that robs his people. And I never took a salary. And when I retired, God fixed it where I came out of that church pretty wealthy. But I never took a salary. It was never on my radar. My job was to feed the people, because the poor people in this country, the only hope they have is God. And I still will stand on it. How come in a nation you can say that you're proud to be an American when you see things going on and you sit there and you don't do anything about it? When you see communities being underserved and getting robbed and getting ripped off, and you have a nice position. I don't want to take any food out of anybody else's mouth to feed my children. And that's what a lot of the executives do. They'll take the food out of my children's mouth to feed their children. And that's unfair. God is not pleased with that. You can look at it any way you want to look at it, but one day you're going to stand before God and you're going to have to give account.
Everything.
I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you got. It doesn't matter. But what matters is that people love one another and help your people and don't live under a country under a false creed, say home of the free, land of the free, and home of the brave. And when you take the oath of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for who? And you can say that with conviction, but you know deep down in your heart, it's not that way. I'm going to my seat, but I got friends in Germany. When I went to Germany a few years ago, we have a little consortium. We get together every so many years, and we do little tours, and the Germans and the people, we get together. And when they came over here, they said, why is it like that? Why is it like that when a black person gets on the sidewalk and they see somebody and they automatically just they move to the side. They give up their spot. They do it subconsciously. And the Germans noticed it, and they asked me, why do they do that? I said, because it's a conditioning. But I'll say this, and I'm going to my seat. There's 483,000 NIPSCO customers in this area. And in this area, I was out in my yard emptying my garbage in the alley, and I tripped over a cable from a NIPSCO power line that had been cut down last summer when they were doing improvements on the power lines. And I said to myself, what if that line would have been live? I would have been dead. So I'm going to have to call them tomorrow to ask them to come and remove those cords out of my alley. But I'm just saying that I don't think it's fair. You can't give people, take from people that don't have it when they don't have it. How far down can you press them? How much more do you want to take from them? How much more do we have to give to prove that we're trying to be good citizens? Don't do this. This is ugly. This is ugly. And as a spiritual man, it's ugly to me to see that you would do that to people that are helpless. Do you realize when we came over here on those ships, when Joe Biden was standing in that harbor the other day talking about it, we came over here with nothing. And a lot of us still have nothing. And it looks like the system is trying to just make sure they keep us where we'll never have nothing. But as long as the man upstairs is looking down, things will change. Maybe not in my lifetime, but there will be changes. And I just hope you all have a heart to understand what people are going through. Don't be so concerned about your money and your position and your status, but think about people. Because that's all that's going to count when you stand before God. And you will. If you read even the scripture, it said we all will stand before the judgment seat
of Christ.
And every man will have to give account. Judges and everything. Just before I sit down, just let me.
Sir, could you get in front of the microphone, please?
The court reporter needs.
Just one thing I want to say. This is an oath that judges take. It says, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will administer justice without respect to persons and do equal right to the poor and the rich. That's all I say to NIPSCO today. Be just with the poor. Be just with the
Are you Ms. Alford?
Yes, I am.
Just a second. Robert Coleman. Robert Coleman. If you would say your name and spell it for the court reporter, please.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Mildred Alcorn. Is this mic working? It doesn't. Okay. My name is Mildred Alcorn. MILDRED ALCORN. I've been a Gary resident all of my life. But the first thing I want to say is, I remember someone here said that he was an attorney. then if he's an attorney, then he knows what unjust enrichment is. And this area has been introduced to unjust enrichment by NIPSCO because they have bills, we have bills that doesn't even make sense. For instance, this past month, my utility bill was $12.82. But the carrying charges was $41. I'm like, what did they bring me? They didn't bring me anything. Same thing with the water bill. The water, they tell you that, oh, well, we're not going to fix those pipes in that ground. That's on you. No, you put those pipes there. You're supposed to take care of your own destruction of your property. That's what we have to do. Again, another thing, when we were in school, there was a such thing as, oh, the government's saying to us, oh no, we will never let one company be a monopoly. But isn't that what NIPSCO is? Yes. In the 1920s, there was a mayor in Gary that signed a tort that allowed NIPSCO to be a monopoly. And they said that they did that because they felt like one company could definitely treat the community correctly and fairly. Is this fairly asking me to give you $45? You're not giving me anything for it, so that's not fair. Everybody in this room has a problem with paying extra money for things that we aren't getting. I remember when my utilities went out, my freezer went out, everybody that was on welfare got their food. But they told me, oh, you don't get welfare? Man, we don't take care of your food. We don't pay you for that. But I lost over $300 worth of frozen food in my freezer. And I wasn't, and I'm just saying. Anyway, so this tart that the mayor, and I think it was Mayor Katz put on Gary and NIPSCO, lasted for 75 years. And if you count good, everybody, when is it up? Next year. And that's why they're asking for this big, large, oversized amount of money, because they know that after 25, if our mayor Melton, does not sign this tort, then they can't do this anymore. So besides writing these posters, writing to whomever in Congress, the commissioners and everyone, write to your mayor. Let him know not to sign that piece of paper, everybody. Because he's the only one that can stop NIPSCO from having all these raises. And everybody always says, well, they always give us money, when we, with the, what is it when they give you money, the heating bills. They don't give us money. They take maybe $3 million out of their little pockets, and they say, okay, now everybody in Gary and the Northwest Indiana that can't pay their bill, we'll pay it for them. And everybody like, yes, what? It's tax deductible for them. So then we're still paying the taxes and we're still paying the bills. So all I'm saying is to that lawyer that said he was here and that he was concerned, then if you know what unjust enrichment is, get on it. Because they're the ones that are getting all our money unjustly, and it's against the law, people. So whoever that attorney was in here, tell him about unjust enrichment. Thank you.
Scott Buchanan, Jennifer Williams.
My name is Jackie Lee, Jackie Lee. I'm here to oppose this rate hike for our citizens, for myself. And I sat back and I listened to all the people that spoke before me, and I'm just wondering, my God, how much more money do you want? How much more money do you need? Then I thought to myself, what can I say to you all to make you say, no, we're not going to do this? And it went through my head, and I'm like, back in the day when we were being treated unjust as black people, we boycotted. And I thought, if everybody in NIPSCO's billing cycle would not pay their bill, and we just say, no, we're not going to pay our bill for a whole month and boycott it, how would you all feel? I believe you have enough money on hand to still get a paycheck. But sometimes you got to go to the extreme. This is an extreme thing you all are doing to a community that just cannot afford it. And the only thing I'm asking, stop being so extreme. I mean, I'm sure that the people that run NIPSCO would not miss a meal. The heat won't be turned off if y'all didn't do this unjust thing. I'm sure I'm pretty sure I'm correct with that. And the only thing we're asking, treat us like you want to be treated. Just think if it was your mother, or your father, or your sister, or your children that couldn't afford to keep the heat on and it's cold outside. Just put yourself in our shoes. For once. We ain't asking for you to give us nothing. But let us be able to afford heat. Let us be able to afford our light and gas. That's all we want. We want to pay our bill. But if you do this, we ain't going to be able to afford to pay our bill. It's a real simple concept. You don't have to think about anything else, but think about the children that might not have heat in their homes. Think about the elderly that you heard. They might freeze to death if you turn off their electricity. Because a lot of elderly people had came to me and asked me, why do I have to pay a bill? Because you all chose to close down your sites in our community. And a lot of elderly people are not computer knowledgeable, and they can't go online and do these things. They don't have the internet. Sometimes we just need to look at each other as sisters and brothers and not enemies, because now I feel like you my enemy because you're trying to hurt me. If you love me, you wouldn't do that. So just think about what you're doing to your neighbor. Because it might not affect you. I'm sure you all get paid a lot of money, but it's going to affect a lot of people that just don't have the money to pay this hike. Thank you.
Elizabeth Palacio, if you would state your name, please.
My name is Robert Coleman, capital R-O-B-E-R-T, capital C-O-L-E-M-A-N, product of the Gary Public School System. I am totally against this hike raise. This country will strike that. This whole world is going through a change right now, which is not positive. People cannot afford all of these rate hikes. Global warming. Is it because for the last few years we haven't had bad winters? Is that why you all going up on electric? Because you know that we're a society that uses a lot of electric? Okay, where's my mayor, Eddie Melton, ex-NIPSCO employee? Where are you? I voted for you. You should be here wherever you're at. You should be here. I agree with the other gentleman. Where's these politicians? Where? Okay, I have a mayor going around the country talking about he for the sale of U.S. Steel mill. Remember 1984, the Reagan years, When our fathers, parents, relatives, us, lost our jobs in the mill? But he can't be right here today to talk against this? Something wrong. I know. Something's wrong. What you gonna do? People cannot pay their bill now. What if what if they lose their jobs? What if the steel mill go? What is the plan for people to have jobs here? What is the plan? Something's wrong. People wake up. I bet you not two of you live in my community. Our electric always going out. Always. I haven't got a sorry note. I haven't got no check from NIPSCO paying me for my inconvenience or my family inconvenience. Why? And just like they said, it's ridiculous and unacceptable that you all come here, wherever you came from, here, and stuff us like sardines in this little bitty building. It's wrong. You all are treating us wrong in so many ways. I could keep going, but I'm gonna make this short and sweet. Right now, I'm a firm believer in freedom. And also, what despises me is when people come to our community, tell us what we can and cannot say, which is wrong. And the community. And if I want to say, if you all are against this rate hike, I want to hear you say, no rate hike.
No rate hike.
No rate hike.
No rate hike.
Jesus is going to fix this. He's going to come soon. Be prepared.
I don't think Scott.
He's not here.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Williams? And Miles Tolliver? Gregory Odrobinak, I believe.
Correct, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Williams?
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Williams, Jennifer. Last name Williams. I'm a resident of Hobart, Indiana. I am also a former NIPSCO employee. I was a 12-year employee working out of Maryville. I have seen NiSource acquire Kokomo Gas. I have seen 2 other rate cases go through. I'll give you a little background on NIPSCO. I made extremely good money, and I was blessed. Unfortunately, the rest of my people in my community are not as blessed. I left NIPSCO in 2019 because I gave birth to a son 3 months premature. It was too expensive to go ahead and send him to therapies or keep him in a therapy rather than me stay at home with him and give him the proper therapy and the proper care that he needs. I'll talk to you a little bit about Eddie Melton, who is now Gary's mayor. Eddie started off in HR. He knows nothing about the rate cases. He's simply overseen any type of union negotiations. The CEO right now is at $10.645 million. Our bonuses were over $3,000. We were seen as customer service reps that I started as. And I started in 2008. I married my husband. I worked my way up. Which I noticed on here, that several additional parties have intervened in this case, including local steelworkers, local 12775, which is the physical side of NIPSCO employees, as well as my own 13796, the USW, the Women of Steel. They are completely against this. as an employee, why would a union, two of NIPSCO's only unions, be against a rate hike that could potentially impact their salaries and their bonuses? In 2013, I gave birth to my first son. He was born in May. In December, I found out my first husband had a stage 4 esophageal cancer. Let me tell you what NIPSCO did to me. I used my FMLA, like I should, because I delivered my son prematurely. My husband passed away that December. I received a disconnect notice in the mail. It was either I pay for his medication because I was the sole provider with the sole insurance, or he dies early. That is what kind of company NIPSCO is. At that time, Violet Sistavaris, who was the vice president, we have charities and choices at NIPSCO. That one was cancer. After being threatened to be fired and terminated because of the time that I have missed to take care of my son, at the same time my father had metastatic bone cancer, she came to me and asked me, Jennifer, will you go ahead and stand next to the Times and show us what a great company we are that we go ahead and give back to the American Cancer Society? Absolutely not. You're not going to use my child as a poster child for cancer. That's how they treat their employees. Right now in Hobart, with Mr. Perryman, I ran for 4th District. Unfortunately, Hobart's mayor is not here. We came to help to represent everyone else in this room. When it comes to the rate increases, when I lived in DeMont, Indiana, of course you have Kankakee Valley REMC, and they're a majority of an electric company down there. They do not use gas, but NIPSCO's plant is down there, their coal plant. What people don't understand, with the coal being transferred through the railroad, that it affected all of DeMont because they were shipping it to make gypsum. So they were making money off of what they were destroying and destroying the earth. And that year, there was 5 cases of esophageal cancer in my neighborhood. I watched my husband and myself and my 1.5-year-old watch my husband die. And I come back to a place where they tell me that I might not have a job. There is approximately 1,300 living in Bill's district. I would have been in the 4th district, which is from 61st to Colorado. And they're not making it. I have a friend right now. She has an 800 square foot home in Hobart in Bill's district. Her average monthly bill is $385. She is a single mother with 1 child and was recently injured at work. Her NIPSCO bill got up to $440. Her first disconnect notice ever. They told her, go apply at the township trustees. We have a wonderful trustee in Hobart, but we can only do so much. We cannot keep on draining the people of our cities, our towns, of money that's not there. It's getting to the point where the rich can't even rob from the poor because the poor, there's nowhere to rob from it. The median gross rent, and that I'm talking about in this situation with my friend, she pays approximately $1,100 a month to live in that tiny house. She's getting ready to be evicted because workman's comp is not paying her. When she called NIPSCO to ask for help and to ask for assistance, they were told that she had to go ahead and go down to the Northwest Community Action Program. I used to handle those calls. I had 70-year-old, 80-year-old women call me sobbing on the phone that they were widows, that I'm going to be shut off. NIPSCO has a funny thing called a credit agreement. And I know the RUC recently changed a few years ago the policies regarding that. Basically, originally it was 25% down for the entire bill. So you figure if your bill, then you also have to come off the budget. So if you're in a hole in the deficit in the budget, that becomes due. They take 25%, which is normally $100, $200 up front, and they split the additional payments into 3 equal payments. If I can't make one bill, what makes you think I can make 2 payments of $300 and some dollars? That's where my friend Jackie's at. Jackie right now was stably employed, no longer has a job because workman's comp has fired her, and now I had to pay her NIPSCO bill. And the only reason I have it is because my husband now has been working 70 hours at Cleveland Cliffs. No man with a family with a special needs child should have to work that many hours for a NIPSCO bill. My monthly mortgage payment is $900 a month. I'm blessed. My NIPSCO bill, as I have it right here, only because I'm in the budget's $242. I'm in the hole. And my thermostat is set right now at 69 degrees. It's fairly newer, so it can't be the excuses that we give customers that call, well, you need insulation. You need to go ahead and lower the thermostat, you get a programmable thermostat. All these new things that NIPSCO came out in regards to energy efficiency. I don't need your low pressure shower heads. I don't need your wall insulation. What these people need is they need help. And I've watched what the vice president and what the president drive when they fly off on their private jet from the property from NIPSCO. And it's disgusting. When I'm sitting there and having to pay for the insurance for my husband to live, and it was either my mortgage or that, and then I get another large NIPSCO bill, it's disgusting. My thing is right now, just to have a meter on the house, originally, probably 10 years ago, it was $7. They increased it up to $14, and now I believe in the paperwork that it is going up to $25. $25 just to have a meter on your house. What other company charges you to have a meter to record your usage that you're gonna have to pay them for? And it doesn't matter anymore with meters because they all went to the AMR devices. And then if you have the elderly who get caught up and they don't understand that if the AMR did not get read and they have a $0 bill, that's what they think. They have a $0 bill. Now you'll have to wait on hold for 6-7 minutes just to talk to somebody, and you're gonna get the runaround from everybody. There's nothing I can do. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do. I can transfer you over to a supervisor, but there's nothing that they can do. Do you have one of the lines that we were taught, do you have a credit card you can put it on? I'm 45 years old with 2 boys. I no longer work with NIPSCO, and I am maxed out in credit card debt. I am maxed. Between my NIPSCO bill, my sanitation bill for Hobart, but yet I still come out here, and Bill and I still have given to the charities because I will give to the children first, and I will give where I can go ahead and see where my money is best going. NIPSCO doesn't deserve a dime from me again, any more than what they get. Somebody mentioned streetlights. Gary is the oldest, and this can be actually fact checked. Gary has the oldest infrastructure in all of NIPSCO territories. That is why there are so many outages in this area.
Right.
Why is that?
And they raise the rates, they raise this. Get these people power, get them so that way they're not stepping on lines, they don't have a hazard, like the house that burned down in Ohio, over simple lines. They shouldn't have to worry about this last storm that came through. If your power goes out, NIPSCO will tell you it's an act of Mother Nature, there's nothing we can do. Yeah, we have a full-size kitchen, cafeteria inside the NIPSCO office that could easily make sandwiches, easily do. At this point in time when they didn't have that, they can't go to their homeowners and then their homeowners is gonna go up. And I'm probably at time, if that's, did you have a question?
Yes, Ms. Wood, I just wanted to know we're short on time tonight.
That's fine, I'll wrap it up here. You're welcome. So basically it's saying that if I was still employed with NIPSCO, I would have to be an NDA and not disclose any of this information. But I think that it's only fair that people know where their money's going. And I've dealt with the Indiana Regulatory Commission. I've worked side by side with many of you, maybe not necessarily those here, to get other things passed, but we worked it out. And you guys always came out and stood behind the people. And that's what I ask of for now, that you stand behind each and every resident that is a NIPSCO customer, because we can't take much more. I appreciate your time, I appreciate you listening, and I thank you all.
Ms. Palacio? Okay. On deck, just a second, let me call down. Colin Sanders. Patricia Boyd. If you would please state your name and spell.
My name is Elizabeth Palacio, Elizabeth. P as in Paul, A-L-A-C like in cat, I-O. I live in East Chicago, Indiana. And I wanted to tell you, I echo every one of you in here for what you have said. It didn't dawn on me that my mom is on oxygen, and if the power goes out, she needs that. So if any of you have elderly parents, my mother is 90. People here in this city and others that span this area need oxygen that they were sent home with them from the doctor. Just think about that. I also ask you to realize that most of the people that do work around here, they just make minimum wage. Oftentimes those people making minimum wage, they're not full-time personnel, or they don't even have benefits. None. Can you think about and realize some people do not even work or can't work? They're retired or on a fixed income. I'm against this raise, totally against this raise. $22 or 22% off in my bill is too much that I can't already afford. There's so many people in my community that cannot afford it. They just can't afford it. With all the other rates going up now, compiled on top of one another, compiled of other burdens in our life, such as cancer, sicknesses, illnesses, around our families, around our children. We already live in an overburdened, overpolluted, kind of poison neighborhood where our children can't go outside, or they can, and you know, when they slide down the slide, fine. But you know, Mom, I'm hungry. After they touch their nose, who knows what they're breathing in? Coal ash? Something? I'm totally against this race. We're dealing with more burdens than we have coming forward than with the ones that we're already in. But like I said again, I echo every single one of you in this room. I beg you not to do this. A lot of people can't afford it. They just cannot afford it. Some people are more fortunate than others, but a lot of them are not. You really have to take that into consideration. We'll work together, but we need your help. Thank you.
You're Mr.
Odrobanek.
Okay, let's want to be sure Miles Oliver is not here.
I don't think so.
Colin Sanders. Patricia Boyd. Okay. If you would please state your name, please, and spell it.
Yes. Hello?
Somebody crank the gang up on this, please. Who's at the console?
That's as high as it goes.
Okay. That can't hear me. Okay, my name is Gregory Odrobanak. Gregory, Odrobanak, O''Drobinak. Well, I think we've had a lot of good speakers here, so they brought up a lot of the points that I was thinking about. But the one thing that bothers me, and listen, commissioners, chairman, Honorable Judge Lloyd, I really do appreciate you all here to be able to take our feelings to heart, and I hope you will, as to how this rate increase really is going to impact most of us negatively. I'm 73. I'm on a fixed income. I have no idea whether the new administration is going to remove that, which is essentially my sole source of money. If that happens, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Maybe sell pencils on the corner, but I guess people don't use pencils anymore. The one thing that bothers me is why NIPSCO needs this increase. If they have such a huge amount of profits, I've heard upwards of $5 billion a year or more, what is the purpose of a utility company? They're to provide essential services, things that everybody needs for their own livelihood. And I really don't understand why we should be held hostage because of their need to make more money and pay BlackRock and things like that. That's just ridiculous. It should be a entity owned by the people. I'd just like to say, I used to live in southern Indiana around Spencer. And this is years ago. This is back, I left there in 84, 85. And I was a member of the REMC, and that's where I got my electric. Well, interestingly enough, in the last 3 or 4 months, I've gotten 2 checks, refund checks, from the REMC down there. And I'm not even one of their customers anymore. But somehow I'm on their list, and the last check I got was a little bit over 25. The one before that was, I think, about 140 or 160 bucks. It was a refund from a utility company. How can an entity like that in a small town USA in southern Indiana do that? I'm not even their customer anymore. Yet I'm up here and I got to get slammed by NIPSCO. That just does not make sense. Philip Glass had a excuse me, we called Kayana Life Out of Balance. That's where we're at right now. Things are just profit, profit, profit. Take the money and run. No forethought in terms of any kind of social engineering or real engineering for that matter. I mean, case in point, why am I here with a mic that has no gooseneck? Actually, oh my God, it works. I guess my engineering background is good for something. I wish more engineers were in charge of companies and laws, because maybe then we'd get something that's righteous and correct, that works, and that is fair. And it'd be fair because it's built on scientific principles to be efficient and work well. The current economic system is not, and we're getting screwed, and I don't like it. One of the things that people probably don't know is that our legislature has passed a lot of bills that benefit utility companies, and one of which allows people like NIPSCO to build like micronukes and pass on the cost to the consumers before it's even finished. What? I mean, come on. I mean, everybody complains about the price of gas. We got BP right over here. They're a big polluter. I don't like breathing their junk. But gas prices are halfway reasonable. They do a refinery upgrade
I don't see where that has like really flattened us because of their efforts to improve their process. Why should NIPSCO have to do that? It does not make sense. I mean, and why do they need, certainly the infrastructure that exists originally, especially here in Miller, needs to be taken care of. You got better lines, beefier lines. That should be part of maintenance. That's a tax write-off. Let them do it. Let them get the people out here. I don't see people from NIPSCO out here unless there's an outage, and that's a problem. I talked to a NIPSCO engineer a while back, and after we had a bad outage and one of their lines came down and killed a bunch of my devices due to the transient. I pointed out that the trees were there and they were being trimmed. And he said, well, yeah, we try to do it, but it doesn't always work, and yada, yada, yada. And nothing has happened in months. They need to take care of what is existing before they build anything out. And if they're building out stuff for supplying energy to like data centers, I mean, there's a big push for AI data centers. I don't know if y'all realize how much energy that stuff takes. If they're going to be putting those things in here, let the data centers bear the burden of their own energy needs. I didn't vote for this, and that's a big problem. We don't vote for any of this. We let people tell us what we can do and what we can't do, and that's got to change. We're looking to you as a restoring force. We need that. We need somebody on our side. The DLGF just slammed us with a huge tax increase not even a year ago. And we all contested that. We haven't heard the results of their determination yet. They're still waiting. Waiting for what? I'm tired of waiting. Help us out, please. Thank you.
Just one. And just want to note that we're short on time, so if we would be concise and direct to the point, with Mr. Sanders.
Okay. No problem. Name's Colin Sanders, COLLINSANDERS. I am here because I think the rate hike is unfair. I think NIPSCO should start in-house first with their employees in order to save money, because anytime you can stay on the clock for 36 hours and then get paid for going home and go to sleep and then come back and you're still getting paid, that's too much. And I'm here for the citizens of Gary, citizens of Hammond, Sherrville. I'm a licensed plumber. I was in the local 210. I go to people's houses every day. I have a young older lady named Miss Walters. Her gas was cut off, and in the middle of winter. She had just been home 2 days from the hospital. And she said she smelled gas. They came in, shut her off, and they did it at about 6:30 at night. There's no way in the world in the middle of winter you can get anybody to come out. But I went out, took care of her. We have to take care of each other. And the cost of some of the things that they're doing, they can do better. And I know they're trying to do business, but a person like myself, I'm 45 years old, a father of 3, with a wife, 2 dogs. My NIPSCO bill in June was $1,000. In July, it was $1,100. I had the cheapest bill ever that came through this month at $406. I almost threw a party for $406. How is this possible? How is this possible? And then I called NIPSCO, asked for a new gas meter because the gas meter on my house been there since the house probably been there. And, oh, well, why do you think you need one? Because these things supposed to be conditioned every year. Their equipment is supposed to read correctly, but if it's not calibrated when it's supposed to be, The equipment can tell you anything. And they're supposed to do an investigation when you call and ask for a new meter, but you get attitude. Now, when I'm paying this type of money, I mean, yeah, my lead plumber makes $1,200 a week. That's a person's pay. Now, when I deal, since I deal with NIPSCO a lot, I know, because the guys say, hey, you can take it, if I'm doing a sewer, they got to hold a pole. They say, you take as long as you want, because all I got to do is sit in this truck. They get 2 raindrops, guess what? They get to sit in the truck for 2 to 3 hours, even if it doesn't rain. These are the things that they need to start looking at. Don't look at the citizens to fund what they're trying to do, because even when it comes down to infrastructure, yes, Gary has one of the worst infrastructures in America, I believe, because we still have wooden water mains. When they're changing gas lines right now, but if you go anywhere where anyone calls 811 dig in the Gary area, when they'll come out and put a do not dig excavate sign up and say, well, we put in new gas lines, but the old gas main is still there. But they haven't took it out of commission. So now if these old gas lines are still have breaks everywhere and gas is leaking, that's on them to fix, because we're paying our part. We're paying for our delivery service, for us to receive our utilities. We shouldn't have to even, and I know the government is actually helping them with assistance in order to change these lines. Because when Obama were in, that was one of the biggest things of changing infrastructure across America, because it's so old. And one of the problems I have, because they won't even hire anybody in our neighborhoods. We have a handful, but if you look everywhere else, they have lower NIPSCO bills because they have newer houses. But if we can't get the jobs where we can build new houses and be able to be like our neighbors, it doesn't make sense. I have people that stay in Portage, Cherville, their bill's $200-300, and they're irate about it. They're irate. And when I tell them my bill, all they can say is, why don't you do more? What can I do? My hands is tied. All I can do is call the company and complain. My council people are not doing anything. The city's not doing anything. So I'm asking you guys, please, think about us. I have a gentleman that works with me, 35 years old, single father of 5. And he has to make a choices. Do I pay NIPSCO, or do I buy food? No, he has to, even though he makes good money with me, he still has to make a decision. And that's hard, especially at this time, Christmas time and Thanksgiving. Yeah, right now I see more people at churches and food banks than ever before. Whenever they have a food bank, it's around the corner. So it's something that NIPSCO got to be able to do, or you guys can do, to kind of help us with this. And 22%, and they put it out there like, oh, it's just $45. No, my 22% is different. 22% of $1,000, that's a lot of money. I got 2 kids in college and one getting ready to go now. And it's not an easy decision. It's things that I want to do. I would like to take a vacation. I haven't taken a vacation in 3 years, because guess what? I'm worried about my bills. I own my house. I own several houses. But guess what? That don't mean I worked hard to get where I am, and I do it with a shovel. I do it in some of the things that I do in a day you don't want to do. I'm a plumber. So NIPSCO should understand, like, hey, let's help these people.
Mr. Chancellor, let me interject. We'll start wrapping up. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. And that's all I have to say. I'm fine.
All right, folks, we've got about 10 minutes left. We have 4 people who want to testify, so please be considerate of the other individuals who want to testify. Be short, be direct, concise. Thank you.
Ms. Boyd. And on deck, Anthony Hicks, Grace Tafola. If you would state your name and spell it, please.
Okay, my name is Patricia Boy. I'm otherwise known as Pat. Patricia. Last name is Boy. No extra letters. I am a state representative, but I'm not speaking for the House of Representatives. I'm speaking for myself and my district. I have an average bill from NIPSCO of $250 a month, which isn't bad. It's not an old house. It's well, it's a 1967 house. But in November, I used 818 kilowatt hours at 22 cents a kilowatt. That's kind of expensive. I think we're probably the highest in the state, if not the country. The people in Michigan City, I represent Northeast Porter County and Northwest LaPorte County. So Michigan City is a great part of my district. We have an average of 80% free and reduced lunch in my district in Michigan City. That's very bottom of the barrel income. That's 80% of the kids in Michigan City. I appreciate that you are here today. I know you are our representatives to the Indiana Utility Commission, and I hope that you take everything everybody has said to heart. I don't fault you for anything that you've done, because you guys are our representatives. But we need to make sure that people who are living at the base, people who don't have money for Christmas presents, people who don't have money half of the time for rent because their rents have been raised, they cannot afford to have more put on them as far as the $25 increase. That's over the top for people, and there's too many people who just cannot do anything with this. We really need to look at that. Thank you so much.
Mr. Hicks?
Yep, my bad.
Anthony Higgs, from Hammond, Indiana, former councilman of the 3rd District of the City of Hammond. This is my second hearing, and again, I thank you all. Besides the point of them saying that this is not a decent place, the opportunity to be heard is very important. Anytime you're in a leadership position and you have the authority to speak out, you should speak for the people. My concern is, again, for the best interest of the people of Northwest Indiana and the city that I love. People are struggling. They need your help. They're crying out. Please help. We ask for this in the name of Jesus Christ, is our Lord. Please help us.
And on deck, Devin Norby.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Grace Tafoya, and I'm here to...
You need to also spell.
Yep, my name... Grace for my first name, and my last name is spelled Tafolla. I'm here because I have many family members who cannot afford this price hike, and on top of that, I feel that NIPSCO's profit margins and all of what we have said today makes it very clear that they can very much afford to install renewable energy themselves, and that's not the real reason why they want the price hike. They say renewable energy so it can look all nice and like they care about the community, but they don't care about this community, and they've made it clear by the price hikes that they've constantly imposed on us despite inflation going crazy. And they don't care about this community. And like he said, they don't hire from our community either. And this community is Gary, Indiana specifically, is 77% black. Where's the black representation on this commission board? Where's the black representation in our city?
Hello. Very good point.
Where's the black representation or the Latina representation in NIPSCO? Their CEO is white, and he collects bank off of us, wage slaves for them. Every single year, we come and beg to you, don't raise the rates, don't approve BP's permit renewal, stop poisoning us. Why do we have to beg for human rights? This isn't a free country or democracy. This is a slave farm. Deny, defend, depose.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Devin Norfleet, DEVONNORFLEET. This will be the third time you've heard from me, so I don't think I need to bring up any statistics, as well as the people in this room who has given you ample time and statistics about NIPSCO. So I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm 23. I have lived in the town of EC for about 13 years of my life. My mother brought us here from Chicago because the prices were lower and she thought my quality of life would be better. And after living these 13 years, it's been the exact opposite. My mother has COPD, which, if you don't know, is a lung disease. And this is literally the worst place in the world for her to be. But we can't afford to move away from here because our bills are too high and we're barely making it paycheck to paycheck, despite having 3 incomes in our household. I've been working since the second I have turned 18, and I don't think I'll ever be able to move out of my mother's home, and I doubt I have a future and I'll ever be able to own my own home. So I ask you this. Why do we deserve to take the fall for what NIPSCO wants to do? Their profit margins are in the green, despite through the last 5 years going through their projects and building their new plants. They're in the green, and yet we are in the red. Why is that? Thank you.
Your Honor, I have no additional forms from folks who would like to speak, so I would move for the admission of Public Exhibit G, FH1.
Any objection to the admission of public exhibit? No objection from the CAC, no objection from the petitioner. Public exhibit GFH1 is admitted into the record without objection. Ms. Orchestrate, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
That'll be further from the CAC. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your participation tonight. Cause number 46120 is continued to the evidentiary hearing. It's at 1 o'clock p.m. local time on February 5th, 2025. And the seal of the PNC Senate will be back 1
I look forward to that. Let's say, ask the